Let me go to this real quick before we go to our next guest, who was a Border Patrol agent, has a brand new book. You see a theme coming here tonight? Look at this. This is at WVWTVstore.com. We have extended our free freight because so many of you have asked us to. You need time to budget, talk to your spouse, make decisions. So a lot of you said, can you extend it? So we are extending the free freight through March. You can go to WVWTVstore.com, click all emergency food supplies, then all emergency food supplies. That brings up everything. Ultimate breakfast kit, ready hour protein with real meat, folks. Ready hour fruit, veggie, and snack. Gluten-free, 1 year, 2 year, 4 week, 6 week, 6 month, 3 month, whatever you want to do. 72-hour test kit if you want to try it out. WVWTVstore.com. If you prefer to order over the phone, which about half of you do, that number is 901-468-9357. Libby will take your call, track it all the way to your door. 901-468-9357. Get your order in. We are seeing record historic sales. People are waking up. They're taking advantage of the free freight, but they're waking up. They realize, as Ann said, you ain't seen nothing compared to what's coming, what these people have planned. And we've been talking about that for some time, so I think we all know what some of these things could be. 901-468-9357. Free freight. I know you can buy it somewhere else. It is a big part of our general operating budget. We buy it. We have a reasonable profit margin. We're offering free shipping. The profit margin allows us to fund what we do, which includes pushing out free radio, television, free documentaries, and so much more. The bandwidth bill, the cost of production, the associate producers, people that work literally into the night, taking these shows and putting them online, so when you wake up in the morning, what you saw live is now available on demand. That all takes people, and they work through the night, many of them not going to bed until 3 or 4 in the morning. So again, we have to pay all those people. How do we do that? We have to generate revenue somehow. This is one way. We're offering you something you need, a service, something my family was doing 3 years before our organization became distributors of this. So we're not suggesting you buy something we didn't buy 3 years before we were even distributors. So often, most everything that we offer, we were already using. That's how we feel is the right way to present products, stuff that we believe in and we're using before we ever offer it to our audience. So again, I know you can buy it elsewhere. When you buy it from us, you're helping us with our general operating budget, and we're offering free freight. WVWTVstore.com, WVWTVstore.com, or 901-468-9357. Also, don't forget about mypillow.com. Please use the promo code B66. When you use that promo code, you get savings and we get credit. That also is a big part of our general operating budget. A generous percentage of each purchase comes back to help fund what we're doing. But you have to use the code B66 or we don't get credit. And again, it's a powerful promo code. You can get the MyPillow 2.0, buy one, get one free. Sheets, towels, blankets, pet beds, slippers, sandals, mattresses, robes, and so much more. MyPillow.com, promo code B66. Joining me now is a man that was, for many years, a Border Patrol agent. He has a brand new book out. His website is lookatthedirt.com. Lookatthedirt.com. Paul Eberly. Paul, welcome to our broadcast tonight. Thank you for joining us. You come highly recommended by our mutual friend, Todd Bensman.
Good evening. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Did you hear the mother tonight whose 2 sons died from fentanyl?
I did hear that. That was tough to hear.
Tough. And then, of course, Ann Vanderstill. Well, give us your perspective. I want you to tell our audience about yourself, what you saw on the ground, and about your new book available at lookatthedirt.com, right? I'm going to show the website right here. Here we go. Here it is. Lookatthedirt.com. The subtitle, The Story of Border Patrol Agents Through Their Own Eyes. Paul Eberly, you can get his new book, lookatthedirt.com. Tell us about yourself and what's in the book and why you wrote the book.
I joined the Border Patrol back in November of 1997. Worked, except for 1 year with the Air Marshal program. I worked with Border Patrol for 23 years, and then a year with the Air Marshals. I had the idea to write the book after listening to some podcasts that I used to listen to, and they interviewed authors. And they inspired me. John Caparelli, Matt Bensman, people that are incredibly generous with their time and assistance. These guys are the real deal. They inspired me to write the book. And then when I had started writing it, I got with them and they answered up and they helped me out. I really appreciate it. I just have a great affection for my fellow agents. I love the Border Patrol. I think the book makes clear I was not God's gift to the Border Patrol, but that was God's gift to me. It was a great job, and I really believed in it, and I really enjoyed doing it. And with the recent events, I had to get it out. I had to let it out and tell some stories from the outstanding people I worked with.
Can you tell us about the say the Sinaloa cartel? Can you tell us about them? Did you run into them?
Well, sure. All smuggling. When I first joined the Border Patrol, there were still mom and pop smugglers, but as of late, I'd say the last 15 years or so, maybe even longer than that, as far as I know, it's been all cartel driven. They have their own plazas that they run stuff through, run people through, and it's just gotten more and more organized. If you're an illegal alien and you cross a fence line, for instance, where they're moving dope, you get maybe told once to get back over that fence line and get out of there. Sometimes you end up dead. They run the border right now. I'm sad to say there are some places where the Border Patrol is able to get down there and can patrol the border effectively and catch people, but for everyone you catch, there's one or two getting away. And it's the same with drugs. It's probably even worse. I don't know. I think the real deal comes through underground.
When you say underground, you mean tunnels?
Tunnels. I read a book years ago about rail cars manifested empty that when they got some information, they would find them 8,000 pounds overweight, and they would find dope in the real, like real dope, like methamphetamine and so forth. Like I can only imagine that's fentanyl nowadays. That's cheap and small.
Does this tell you? Does this tell you that we have corrupt people somewhere in the chain within companies, as well as within governments, local governments, within police departments, within maybe federal agencies? Do you believe these powerful cartels with their money are able to blackmail people, to buy people off? In other words, they have to be getting help, right?
Oh, sure. I think that's been amply reported in the media. Absolutely. I would say. I mean, I've heard from some people that out of every 100 people, one of them is going to be a psycho, and that's a psycho. If you're just weak and dirty, there's got to be more than 1 in 100. But my personal experience with agents that were taking money is pretty limited. I knew a couple.
Wow. So speak to me about the tunnels. I mean, you just heard Ann talking about one of them. We know Israel deals with this all the time. We've reported for many years about drug cartel tunnels, of which, of course, you could have some of the Islamic terrorist groups working with them, helping pay for some of these tunnels, or working with them in connection somehow where they can both benefit from the use of that tunnel. Maybe some to bring drugs, some to bring human trafficking, others to bring maybe weapons, maybe biological weapons, maybe smuggle their terrorist cell members through. What all is coming through those tunnels, and how often did you ever hear of that red-green axis, the red being the Marxist, the green being the Islamist, also working within these drug cartels?
I don't have that kind of information. I was a ground level agent and a ground level supervisor of agents that are actually patrolling the border every day. There are other agents that are way more qualified than me to answer that. I don't doubt it for a moment. There's just no other way to explain it. The drugs have never been cheaper and more plentiful than they are today.
How about could our government secure that border, Paul, if they wanted to?
Well, the closest we came was between 2018 and 2020. It was pretty slow down there. I think it can be done. I think we have failed to do it, even in the good years, 2018, 2020. The failure was we couldn't make it permanent. I think we could go a long way towards it. I don't think you can secure a border completely, no, because look at China, look at Soviet Russia. You could still get in there. Nobody wanted to, but you could still get in there.
Do you think we ought to have the National Guard on our borders?
If it was up to me, sure. Absolutely. I mean, we've had them before, but they were hamstrung by their own chain of command. I mean, they got run off hilltops when they had their LPOPs up in the early 2000s. When those guys got their briefing, they were pretty much told, you will not fire on anyone. And if the cartel shows up, 20 guys with AKs, those guys withdrew.
I don't want to draw you into politics, but you see the billions going to Ukraine because politicians are worried about the border of of Ukraine, what about our border, right? I mean, surely we can put money to secure our border and stop the fentanyl deaths, 110,000 young people a year dying that were mentioned by this mother tonight, not to mention whatever else is being dragged across the border. I mean, Americans that are paying attention are outraged.
I don't begrudge Ukraine the right to defend itself for one moment, but yes, we could use that on the border. We could use that gear on the border. We could use that kind of political will on the border. We need to, everyone's borders matter, but in the United States, for United States citizens, our border should matter first.
What about young people? Tell me about some of the stories you personally encountered. That's what your book's about. What about some of these young people, these unaccompanied minors? Where are their parents?
That's a good question. The one that really stands out in my mind is the little Cuban boy. He couldn't have been more than 5. Showed up in a group of 30 plus that just showed up at the border at a gate in the middle of nowhere, and there were a lot of Cubans in the group. He was Cuban. There were Dominicans. There were Central Americans, and we were calling their names and squaring them away, looking at their identity docs and writing field apprehension forms. And we called the little boy's name, and he came up and he was just shaking. He was so afraid of us. And, you just want to tell the kid to be, it'll be okay. No one's going to hurt you. But I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that. I think his dad was in New York City and his mom was in Cuba, and she sent him north and with a bunch of criminals.
Gosh.
I'll never understand. I cannot understand that. I can't put myself in a place where that's okay.
What do you know about children being molested or raped along the way, and women? We hear those reports. Are those reports true?
Yes, they are true. I've heard those same reports, and we've interviewed people back when I was working. I retired in November 2021, so I've been out a little while. But we did interview plenty of women that claimed to have been assaulted, and I'm sure there were plenty more that did not report it. It's terrible. It's terrible. We're enabling that. We shouldn't be enabling that.
Where are they coming from? Where are they coming from, Paul? Are they coming from? Let me name some countries. Tell me if I'm wrong. Venezuela, yes or no?
Yes.
You mentioned Cuba already. Where? Guatemala, El Salvador,
Cuba, Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, you name it. You name it.
Are you running into? I know we saw an Iranian smuggled into a trunk recently. Were you running into Iranians?
At the station that the last station I worked at for the last 14 years, I didn't see any Iranians. There may have been some, but not when I was working. The exotics would be more Indians, people from China, but not in huge numbers. We got mostly Central Americans.
Why Chinese? Why are they smuggling through the border? What are they just escaping China, or what's going on there?
I mean, at best, yes, they're trying to escape China. But you don't know. You don't know. At my last station, nobody spoke Mandarin. We couldn't really interview them without the assistance of operators. The processing had become so streamlined by then, you didn't really get a really good story.
How concerned are you that we have had hardcore terrorists come over that border?
I'm very concerned. I have never encountered one of those. I have read some reports, and I know as of late there have been a lot more reported apprehensions of those types of people than there were in the past. But it only takes a couple. Bataclan Theater in France a few years back. I mean, that was part of the great wave of war refugees coming into Europe, and it only took a few people to hatch that plot. One of several plots, I think, around that time. So when people may dismiss it because maybe they only caught 80 or 90 people that popped on the terrorism watch list, but it only takes a few. Are
the Border Patrol agents understaffed and underpaid?
They are understaffed. I never felt underpaid, but we are definitely hurting for manpower. That is for sure. Guys are finding other jobs. People are kind of keeping their heads down, but I think for the most part, the problem right now, at least as I understand it, and I'm just one guy, too busy doing too many other things besides patrolling the border and apprehending aliens. And then when you apprehend them, if you get a serious criminal, you never know if they're going to get prosecuted or not.
Why is the book, Paul, called Look at the Dirt? Why is it called that?
Look at the dirt it's a saying that I learned as a trainee from Supervisory Border Patrol Agent Tom Johnson, my very first role model in Border Patrol. He would tell people, look at the dirt, you don't have to run. it's a term for cutting sign, for checking the ground for signs of passage, foot sign, tire sign, animal sign. Sometimes they come in on horses, and some of the guys get really good at looking at the dirt and telling you where the group went.
Wow. Wow. Fascinating book. How many pages?
It's about 300 pages. It's a pretty quick read, though. They're not all full pages. There's pictures in there.
And it's endorsed by our mutual friend, Todd Bensman. He told me today,
Yes.
I found out about you through him. He's like, this guy's the real deal. I read his book. I endorsed it. You should interview him.
I really appreciate that. He is also the real deal. I'm still I'm reading his book, Overrun. It's right here on my desk. And that is a fantastic book. In many ways, says a ton of things that there's no way I could have begun to say. It is a fantastic book.
Well, we're going to be having you back, Paul, as issues break about the border. We'll come to you, and you can provide us context and understanding that few can. So if you let us do that, we'll be reaching back out to you.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much. If I have one moment, I just found a mistake in my book I'd like to get in front of.
Okay, all right.
On page 3 of my introduction, I referenced the horrible episode under the Del Rio Bridge, where 5,000 Haitians became 15,000 in one weekend, and some Border Patrol agents got jammed up with false allegations. That was the Del Rio sector. That was not the Rio Grande Valley sector. I will be changing that in the book immediately as soon as I get off this interview.
Those kind of things happen. Lookatthedirt.com. Lookatthedirt.com to get Paul's book. Paul Eberly, thank you for your service to our country, and you're still serving by helping us, the average American, understand what it's like down there and what you guys face. So thank you for doing that, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. The honor's all ours. Paul Eberly, the book's called Look at the Dirt, the story of Border Patrol agents through their own eyes. Highly recommended by Todd Bensman.